It's time to talk more about erections, because whether we realize it or not, they play a very important role in human biology, especially when it comes to reproduction. Now, most discussions around erections usually focus on male erections, and that's mostly because they're more obvious and visible. But make no mistake, females also have fully functional erectile tissue. So the real question is, how important is the female erection from a reproductive standpoint? We already know that a male erection and the release of sperm are critical for reproduction. But does the female erection and climax play an equally important role? Or is it simply an added bonus for other reasons? That's exactly what we're going to explore today, along with how female erectile tissue actually works. So let's dive into this fascinating topic of reproductive anatomy. One of the most interesting things to know is that male and female erectile tissues are surprisingly similar. In anatomy, we refer to this as homologous structures, meaning structures that develop from the same embryonic tissue. For example, testes and ovaries are homologous structures, and more importantly for today's discussion, the penis and the clitoris are also homologous. They are made from the same basic erectile tissue and function in very similar ways. So let's start by understanding the structure of the clitoris. The clitoris is essentially a cylindrical mass of erectile tissue, but it's far more complex than what is visible externally. It begins with two leg-like extensions called the crura, which attach to the pubic bones on each side. These crura then bend inward and unite to form the body of the clitoris. This body is homologous to the shaft of the penis. The majority of the clitoris is internal. The only visible portion is the very tip, known as the glans clitoris, which is homologous to the glans of the penis.
The stimulation
is
pathways
densely
are now
packed with
active
sensory nerve
as we
endings,
observe the
making it
electrical
extremely
pulses traversing
important
the
for
network.
sensation, arousal, and initiating and maintaining erection. So how does a female erection actually begin? Let's look at the first pathway, tactile stimulation. When the glans clitoris or surrounding genital tissue is touched, sensory signals are sent through a nerve called the pudendal nerve. These signals enter the sacral portion of the spinal cord, specifically at levels S2, S3, and S4. Now, here's something important. This process works primarily as a reflex. The signal doesn't need to travel all the way to the brain in order to initiate an erection. Instead, most of the signal is immediately sent back out from the spinal cord to the erectile tissue of the clitoris. That's why even in some cases of spinal cord injury, tactile stimulation alone can still initiate an erection. Of course, part of the signal does reach the brain so that awareness and sensation are present, but the brain's permission isn't strictly required in this pathway. Now let's talk about the second pathway, brain stimulation. Visual attraction, thoughts, imagination, sounds, smells, and emotional connection can all activate signals from the brain. These signals travel down the spinal cord and converge at the same S2, S3, and S4 levels. When brain stimulation and tactile stimulation occur together, the resulting erection is usually stronger and more sustained. Both pathways activate nerve fibers that release neurotransmitters into the erectile tissue. These neurotransmitters trigger the release of nitric oxide, and this is where the real magic happens.
Blood vessels
Inside
dilate.
the body of the clitoris
Smooth
are
muscle
two erectile
relaxes.
bodies called the
Vessel
corpora
walls
cavernosa.
expanding realistically.
These are vascular and cavernous tissues, meaning they contain hollow spaces designed to fill with blood. Nitric oxide causes the blood vessels to dilate and the smooth muscle within the tissue to relax. As a result, blood rapidly fills these spaces, causing the clitoris to enlarge and become erect. While the size change isn't as dramatic as with the penis, the difference from the non-erect state is still very noticeable. Now let's return to our original question. How important is the female erection and climax for successful reproduction? From a purely technical standpoint, female erection and climax are not absolutely required. As long as sperm enters the female reproductive tract, fertilization can still occur. However, that doesn't mean female arousal and climax don't play an important role. In fact, they can significantly improve the chances. There's another erectile structure worth mentioning called the bulb of the vestibule. This structure is located on both sides of the vaginal canal. When it fills with blood and becomes erect, it slightly narrows the vaginal canal around the penis. This increases stimulation and helps facilitate ejaculation and sperm release. A nearby muscle contracts to enhance this effect, making the process more efficient. But the real reproductive advantage appears during female climax. During orgasm, several important physiological events occur. The pelvic floor muscles begin rhythmic contractions, which help move sperm further upstream toward the uterus. The uterine canal dilates slightly, making it easier for sperm to pass through. At the same time, the hormone oxytocin is released. Oxytocin causes the uterus to contract, helping propel sperm even deeper and closer to the egg. This combination of muscular contractions, hormonal release, and anatomical changes can significantly improve fertilization odds. Interestingly, studies suggest that natural intercourse often results in higher fertility rates than artificial insemination, likely due to these natural physiological responses. There's also a behavioral factor to consider. When intercourse is pleasurable and includes climax, people are naturally more likely to engage in it more frequently. And from a purely statistical perspective, more frequent intercourse increases the chances of successful reproduction.